Hi, it's Lisa from Lisa's Sanctuary talking to you today about child support after leaving or escaping domestic violence. And this is something I get asked about a lot, what my thoughts are or even what I did about child support, because it is a complex topic within the context of a domestic violence pattern of behaviours which are in place to control and have power over the other partner. So child support in money, essentially money, can be used as a control chip. It's a bargaining tool. And so sometimes it can be safer to just not collect it, not worry about it. And that can be hard for some people to understand, especially if they haven't experienced that financial abuse component of, within a relationship where you are controlled and you are dictated to about money. And so when I separated from my ex-husband, which came about with police intervention because it escalated so much, I was working full-time at that time, but I was collecting or eligible for family assistance through Centrelink. So family tax benefit, I was eligible to receive that for the kids. And so I called Centrelink after I had escaped with police intervention. I actually left my family home for about a week, went and stayed with a friend because I was just so fearful of being in the house by myself. I did not know what to expect. I was scared. And so I stayed at a friend's house. And what I did was I rang Centrelink and let them know that I was now a single parent. I had separated from my husband. I needed to remove him, out of the household because I didn't want, his mail coming to my house. It was our house at the time, but I didn't want his mail coming there. I didn't want to give him a reason to be anywhere near that house. Plus, the AVO stipulated that he could not come within, I think it was 100 meters of my home. And so I called Centrelink to let them know I had separated, and I was asked by the customer service rep to claim for child support, to apply for child support. And my instant reaction was, I don't want it. I said to her, I don't want to claim child support. And she asked me to explain what I meant because she had said, a father is obligated to pay monetary, support for his children. And I completely understand that. Absolutely understand that. I think both parents should pay for their children, for their children's expenses and quality of life. But for me, within the context of a violent and controlling and abusive relationship, I did not want any interaction with him about child support. There was a no contact AVO in place, but I just didn't want any tie, any reason for him to, hate me more or want to hurt me, in another way. I didn't want to take the money, even though it was for the children. I didn't want to take it. I didn't want to claim it. I didn't want to have a conversation about it. I didn't want him to perceive that I was taking his money. I just didn't want the argument. I didn't want the fear. I didn't want the problem. And so the lady on the phone had asked me if I, had an apprehended violence order, an AVO. And when I said I did, she said I was able to claim an exemption from claiming child support. And I would not have cared if my income was, lower. I wouldn't have cared if they were going to take money, dock me money because I hadn't completed, an obligation. Didn't care, didn't want it. Fortunately for me, I was in a position where I was working full time. I didn't need the money. And so I always budgeted around just not ever having child support. I was lucky in that sense, absolutely. But I also would have, budgeted as much as possible to avoid having to collect child support because it added an extra element of, fear for me and potential repercussions, which can be, difficult to understand if you've never been in that position, but didn't want to claim it, got the exemption for it. And so I left that marriage 10 years ago. It'll be 11 years this year, I think. Yeah, so it's about 10 and a half years ago. I have not received a cent of child support in those, entire 10.5 years. And I have 3 children now who are over the age of 18, so not eligible for child support anyway. My 2 younger boys are 16 and 15, having birthdays this year, but never received it. It just was another way for him to not have any control over me and not have any reason to, have to speak to me or want to contact me, or I'm taking his money, or I don't know what crazy things would have gone through his head, and I didn't want any part of it. And so if you can get away with, if you are able to not have to need child support and you don't want to claim it, then absolutely. You have to look after your own well-being first and foremost. You have to be safe. And if you don't feel like you'll be safe collecting child support, then don't, and apply for an exemption. Also, if you do need the child support, or just absolutely think that, the other parent should pay it because they should, then make sure you set up an arrangement where it is being collected through, child support or the agency or through a bank account. Don't leave it up to a private arrangement. It leaves, you leave yourself open for interactions being twisted, words being twisted, different agreements being, backpedaled on, and you just don't have anything in writing that's just concrete, that's set, that's just done. You don't want to have to put any more time and energy and potential fear into something that can be automated. So absolutely look after yourself with it. It's a personal choice. It's just down to what you do or don't want to do, what you do and don't feel comfortable with. But if you do have an AVO in place, if you are scared of your partner of any repercussions with collecting child support, absolutely talk to a social worker about it and know that you are eligible to claim an exemption from applying for child support if you do have a legitimate fear and there is an AVO in place. So that's my thoughts on child support. Lisa from Lisa's Sanctuary. I share my healing journey in the hopes of contributing to yours, and I hope you have a great rest of your day wherever you are, and that you just take a few moments to enjoy just what is and what can be.